Yeah, I think, so much of it is people are chasing new ideas, and the key is really learning how to implement, right? It's not enough to know. We talk about that all the time. You have great ideas, great strategies. It's really about installing an execution system, because every company has all these systems. They're all sub-optimized. Why? Because they're lacking the one system that drives everything, which is an execution system. In the short sentence, it would be doing the things we said we need to do in order to accomplish what we said we want to accomplish. I think probably the biggest one is there are so many competing priorities, and there's limited capacity. It doesn't matter how many people are in your organization, doesn't matter how much resources you have, there's limited capacity, and most organizations try and take on too much, so they end up overwhelmed and diffused. So it's really about narrowing the focus down and prioritizing, picking a few things and not jumping from one thing to another to another. Well, execution, here's why. There is no perfect strategy. And you don't know if your strategy is any good or not until you go execute it. If you execute well, you're going to get feedback from the marketplace. So you're going to be able to adjust your strategy to fit the marketplace. Sitting in a room and trying to come up with a strategy that's going to be perfect, it's a waste of time. Come up with your best strategy, go start to execute it, and then monitor it and adjust. Yeah, great question. It's so much of it is mindset. One of the key things we talk about is getting out of the annual environment. Everything these organizations do is annualized. Even the public ones that report numbers quarterly, it's quarterly, a quarter, a fourth of a whole. So there's this mindset that as long as we hit the annual numbers, we're good. You got to get out of that mindset. That's why we work in 12-week years. Really focused in on putting a hard line in the sand and doing what it takes to hit our goals every 12 weeks, treating that as the year. Well, I wish it were one thing. It really is a system of, there's 5 disciplines, fundamentals that relate to execution. And so it's vision, planning, process control, scorekeeping, time use, but they all come into play in a different way than the way most organizations are applying them. But it really is taking those 5 disciplines and applying them in an effective way across the organization. Yeah, great question. I mean, again, some of it's through trial and error, right? Some of what we'll do, there's other people that have done it, or it's not the first time we're doing it, so we have best practices. But in the end, if we're pioneering new ground, the honest way is to fail faster, because you don't know if it's going to work or not. So you got to get out there and implement it and see what happens, and then the marketplace will give you feedback so you can adjust it. I think 2 things. One is a mindset around it's not enough to know. That there is this mindset about, look, we got to implement it, execution was matters. The other thing is a level of accountability and ownership. That people in the organization have ownership of the goals, of the actions, of the outcomes. It starts with working with each member on the team on their personal vision. This may sound a little strange, but it's really about helping each individual in the organization understand what they want in their future that's compelling, and then figuring out how to connect the dots between that and what they're doing here for the organization. How does us winning as an organization help you live the life you want to live? That's the first piece of it, and then there's some other pieces that fall in place after that. But it starts with getting people connected to that. Yeah, so if you want to have a high-performance team, it doesn't matter what you value, whether you value customer service, innovation, collaboration. There's 3 structures that have to be in place. First is clarity of expectation. Clarity at the vision level, clarity at the goal level, most importantly, clarity at the behavioral level. That's why we talk about making sure plans are tactical, not conceptual. Second structure is transparency. We need transparency with respect to execution. For each member of the team, are we doing what we said we needed to do in order to accomplish the outcomes we want? And then the final is the evidence. Is it producing what we thought it would? Whether I'm a solopreneur or whether I'm a team of 100,000, if we want to perform at a high level, we have to have those structures in play. Because it drives everything, right? If we're not clear on what we want and where we're going, then how do we build a plan? How do we set goals? What's the motivation for me to take action on it daily? If we're going to create a different result, there's going to be some discomfort. Why am I willing to do that? It's the vision. Yeah, so the 12-week year got created because we were working with organizations, doing what most organizations do, meaning we set annual goals, we built annual plans, and we broke them down quarterly and monthly and weekly. And you know, we got good results, but we didn't get what they're capable of. And we came across this concept in athletics called periodization. And we borrowed some of the fundamental tenets of it, the focus, the intensity, the ownership, and we took it outside of athletics. And one of the things we found is in the annual environment, it's just too easy to put things off. Even again, if we go back to public companies that report numbers quarterly, there's still this notion of, you know, as long as we hit the annual number, we're fine. And so that's a very limiting mindset. And so with that, we really redefined a year. Our clients work in the context of every 12 weeks as a year. And no, it's not a quarter, because a quarter is a fourth of the whole. It is the whole. It's just this 12-week year followed by the next. And when we do that, what happens is we're more consistent with the activity that matters most. And what happens is very quickly the results start to compound. Well, there are a lot of them. You know, I shared today with the group about Encompass. It's $1 billion brokerage, and so that wasn't. They thought they had a business model issue. They were losing money when we met them, and they thought they had an issue that they had the wrong business model, which often happens, right? You have this issue, whether it's revenue or sales or your business model or marketing or people, when most of the time the core issue is they lack an execution system. And so when we installed the execution, it literally turned that company around in a heartbeat. Yeah, I love that, because I think accountability is misunderstood. Most people equate accountability with consequences. It's how we experience it, right? Someone's going to hold us accountable. When in truth, accountability is not consequences, it's ownership. It's based on free will choice. So when you recognize that you have free will choice in any situation and you take ownership of that, that's accountability. And when you understand accountability in that light, I think it's the most empowering concept you have to live your best life. Well, because what happens when I recognize that I have free will choice and I take ownership of that, I stop looking outside myself. Right? I can't control any of that. There's two things I can control, my thinking and my actions. And when I take ownership of those, things get better. It's never going to be perfect, and I don't control the outcome, but what it does is it gives me the best chance of succeeding the way I want to succeed. Yeah, so that's kind of related, right? The key is to recognize that you have free will choice. There are no have-tos in life. You don't have to work here, you don't have to do that. You choose to do that, and really recognizing that allows you to take back control. So we're not a victim to the circumstances or other people in my life, because I'm making choices in that, and I can make different choices which will create different outcomes. That's the power of understanding accountability as choice as ownership, is it gives me the power to change my life in the ways I want to change it.